live. We are live. Welcome, everyone, to this extra special episode of My Biggest Bobby. My biggest body art moment so far. And my guest today is Sarah Grandinetti. And
Hi.
hello, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, we're gonna dive right in. So I'm gonna actually ask Sarah to kick us all off, just to tell us one of her biggest body art moments, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Okay, so kick off. I will say that since the tools of access and like taking so many body classes, there's so many things that have changed, and where my body just herself has put me in awe of what she bees and what she is here to create. It's different than my being and how they come together and they play. But when you asked the question, the thing that popped the most was, I have 3 biological children, and I had a few miscarriages before I had my first one. And when they went in there to see what was going on, and they told me I had what was called a bicornate uterus. It's basically like you grow 2 uteruses and then it stops. It's kind of shaped like a heart, and you're not supposed to ever be able to have kids. And so they told me right away that I would never have kids, and that I was really young. I shouldn't ever look at that as a possibility. And, I wasn't using the tools of access then. Dane, my brother, had not even found access consciousness. Well, that's very interesting to acknowledge, actually. Well, funny enough. Yeah, that was actually the year that he did find access. It was when I got pregnant. But I wasn't personally using the tools, but by osmosis, I guess I was receiving. And so I just knew that wasn't my future. I knew that whatever needed to happen in there was going to happen. And so basically babies need to, for my uterus to have a baby grow to full size, they have to attach in a very specific place, like right next to the cervix, which can also be a spontaneous abortion if it attaches in a weird way. And turns out I created that 3 times in that uterus that wasn't ever supposed to be able to carry a baby. And my whole pregnancy with my first one, they told me like basically my life was at risk, that my uterus could erupt anytime, and that this baby, if it even got to term, it was a miracle baby. And people would, like, at the doctor's office, rub my belly because who's this miracle baby? And yeah, so I carried to term, and then I was like, well, if I can, why can't I do it again? And I did it 2 times.
But it's interesting because the body, I made this series because I wanted us to look more at like moments of body and awe, but the body itself, there's so much awe. Because I looked up the definition of awe today, and it's this simultaneous feeling of gratitude and wonder. And when the people came up to you and touch your stomach, it's like, it is really like this simultaneous feeling of wonder and gratitude for the body that is able to do that. And I would say even giving birth, if it isn't complicated in some way, for many women is one of the biggest moments of awe. Wow. Like, and really just giving birth, whatever it's like. I remember holding my daughter the first time in my arms, like this little body that I had made. Just that, like, how amazing, how awestruck can you get when you hold that, like the first, but so many times, with your children, like that sense of awe and wonder. It really is that our bodies are able to create way beyond what we are trying to get them to create or have to control.
Yeah, and then even bring in like holding that baby, but that brand new body, that little tiny thing that has every molecule it requires in order to like be here on Earth. And the embodiment too is and I might be taking your show in a totally different direction, but I sometimes do that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Am I doing that?
Oh, I don't even know which direction we have to go. So go for it. Just go wherever you get inspired.
Sometimes I work an assignment, so you know me. Well, I remember having Dane there when all of my kids were born, there was this communion with being and body that when he held the babies, like he got this download, but it was like what I'm aware of is why this is Sarah's interesting point of view. But when babies don't sleep, it like the wake up and like the sleepless nights and all that is like the being in the body, like starting to play. And sometimes they're like in communion, and sometimes the, you know, the being's like going in and out, and then like, okay, I'm here, I'm not little, like, and starting to be here on earth together. And what Dane did with these babies' bodies was he like invited them into the communion together. And I've said this on other things before, like my baby slept through the night from like day 2 where I was sleeping 7 hours. But it was the invitation for the being to embody into this beautiful new body through the gift of Dane's body. And then Dane would download with me like what the babies required, or for me to listen more to what the babies required through their bodies. And so I had a lot of ease there because of all that. But adding this conversation into a body conversation is really beautiful to look at it from that perspective.
Well, and I remember we even looked at for a while for him to write a book called The Baby Whisperer, because he does have this amazing way to whisper with babies and probably their bodies and their beings. And I get that the Access Tools really it's kind of like the Access Tools are a simultaneity of gratitude and wonder when you use them. And with our bodies, like so many things, like you're mentioning with that, nobody would really have talked about that. Maybe the being and the body haven't really found each other, and that's why. But if you look at something with no point of view and don't have to buy what you've been told before, then you can suddenly find things that you haven't even considered that can create way more clarity. And again, that sense of awe. Wow, of course, of course, this is what's going on. And of course, we can kind of change it by whispering to our bodies and our beings. But I want to go back to the whole, like, the creation our bodies do, because also, our cells get all regenerated every 7th year. So we're really, we're the same person for 7 years, and then every single cell that we had 7 years ago have been replaced. So our bodies is continuously recreating us. We're the ones that keep thinking we're the same, but our bodies are like recreating us, just as your children obviously wanted to come to you. They've chosen you as their mom, so they didn't care that doctor had defined you as non-having baby person.
Absolutely. And the running joke is, do they choose me, or did they know Dane wasn't having kids and it was the closest way to get to him? But they did. I know they chose me, but and absolutely. And even watching young people grow, that every 7-year mark is something so different and unique. But it's not just like, oh, we went through puberty, or oh, you're taller now, so here's the thing. But like that regeneration of being here on the planet, and being, like, I keep just wanting to go, like, being embodied is a creation and a generation and a choice every day, even if we haven't acknowledged it.
Yeah. And when we talk about being you, both you and I do being you classes. We both facilitate those kind of classes. And one of the things I often talk about is it's not about finding you. It really isn't about finding you, because there isn't like an ideal, perfect you that you have to find. It's about creating you and undefining you, really, from what you bought is you and have to be the solid you that you've concluded that you are. And once you get out of that conclusion, you can create you every day, every 10 seconds, really, of every day. And what, like, this conversation is like, what if that is true with our bodies too? What if we could have that same malleability? Is
yeah yeah
malleability with our bodies, where we really, if we're willing to undefine what we decided is true and concluded and solid about our bodies, and if our cells really regenerate all the time, that makes total scientific sense too to me. Like, if all the cells are continuously changing and shifting, what choice, what consciousness, what ask could we add to that?
Well, I love what you're like tapping on right now. And because, okay, so if we look that we create our bodies, and we create them from our choices, and we create them from who we decide to mimic and who's giving us information about having a body, which a lot of times is our parents and the world projecting at you who you look like and you buying it, making it real. There's also this other side, you know, when like people start to look like their dog, or people in relationship and they start looking alike, you know, like where you try to push two things into one, and then the points of view match, and then the bodies start to match. And so that is actually true, and not just a phenomenon that creates like a funny meme on social media, but that people actually create their bodies from their choices and the points of view that they're taking before making those choices. Like, what choices can we make that undoes all of that? You know, like when I started to play with access tools, like more prevalent in my life, my aesthetic has changed so much. Like, I used to be told all the time that I look like my mom, and now I'm like, I'm not sure. And at the same time, I have young girls. My daughters are told how much they look like me. And Gary Douglas told me recently, he's like, when you hear that, he's like, you need to get present with them and say, no, you don't. You look like you, and you can create you however you would like. And since he's told me that, was like about a year ago, I was doing a beauty class, and he and I were talking ahead of time, and I was like, okay, I've been so persistent with making sure that I remind them that they also have choice with their bodies and their aesthetic. So I love talking about this because it's fascinating to me.
And you know, the thing you said about what Gary told you to tell them, like, you don't look like her, you look like you. That's it's such an easy thing to just quickly shift, but it undoes so much of those points of views that we recreate ourselves as our mother, as our father, as our grandmother, as our grandfather, as our, you know, siblings, like all of that, and allows us to create the being, the body that we truly would like to be. And I was looking at this, the whole idea of awe, like the whole idea of wonder, you know, it's like that occurs when we go slightly outside the points of views, the path that we think we're going to take. Like, the doctor gave you that path. He said, okay, you're not going to be able to have children from your uterus. And then the gratitude and wonder come from, oh, but yes, I am, you know, like, and it's kind of like when we break the mold, when we break the box, that's when that awe, wonder comes. So I would also like, what can we ask? How much more wonder and gratitude and awe can we add to our lives in ways that we cannot even imagine? And everything that doesn't allow that, let's uncreate and destroy it. Right? And I'm going to Papa Colin Choice Boys Meons. There's something really beautiful with the body and awe, that, like, because the body is such a magical part of our lives that we so often just, you know, make into a vehicle for our thoughts.
True. Like your meat sack that you drag around with you.
Yeah.
And the acknowledgement that we've talked about already of like the mimicry of how we create our lives as our parents, I think it's if you can acknowledge that, then you can acknowledge the point of creation that you have to create anything. So if you were given no information, you know, and you just had a body and you know, I often like kids who were adopted, if they ever actually end up looking like their biological parents, if they never meet them, you know, what is there? Because we think that we get like our life choices, like our life plan from our parents, but it also, our bodies are part of that life plan. And if we included them, and like you said, add more of that wonder and that awe into what does our body know? What can our body contribute here? What gift is our body in this situation that we haven't acknowledged? Even, you know, like I had a really cool conversation with a bookkeeper yesterday, and I was like, okay, body, I'm bringing you to this meeting. Thank you for showing up for me. Thank you for being present, getting information that you know I'm not hearing, you know, contribute to me hearing it. And the space that was there, because I just included my body, You know, every body class that I do now, I ask everybody, hey, did you bring your body or did your body bring you? And if you brought your body, you actually invite your body to the class now rather than having dragged them here. So just the inclusion too will have you see so much more of those awe moments and the wonder of what's possible.
And you know, it's funny because what it reminds me about too is when we talk about disease, one of the things that Dane brings up in his Body Whispering book is a lot of disease comes from the body being really ordered, really solid, really ordered, from points of views, from unconsciousness, etc. And one of the ways we undo that is chaos. And chaos is really the sense of awe, like that. What happened? How could that? And what that total, when something takes all that solidity, all the entrainment, all the biomimetic mimicry, like you're talking about, and it goes, and now what's possible? And then the body can choose something completely different. It can also choose to stay on the same path. That's a choice. It's a choice but that particular, so somehow chaos and awe are also related somehow.
Absolutely. And I could actually share with you another awe moment because I had to choose one, you know, just come on the show.
Right.
But my life was so ordered prior to really diving in and like creating with Access. You know, I woke up every day in the same bed doing the same thing, and that was never 9 to 5 because it was a salon life. But I kind of could map out what my life looked like for a year, maybe even with no real distraction or, you know, change. And so for years I had a torn shoulder, a torn rotator cuff. I played volleyball in college. I tore my shoulder at like age 18. I didn't start really playing with the tools till I was 35. I can't believe I just said, no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so at 35, I was the girl with the torn shoulder for, do the math, whatever many years that is. So I had created my whole life from the point of view that I was supposed to have surgery. I opted out of the surgery at age 18. I couldn't raise my arm over my head. So I got people to do things for me all the time. I'm helping the salon that I couldn't justify paying someone to do certain things, except I had a torn shoulder. Like I had this problem, and I'd wake up every day and it would ache. And then the chaos of Access. Now, I started to travel. I started to look at becoming a facilitator. I became a facilitator. I started to classes. I started to live in a totally different way that I thought was possible for me. And Kat, when I tell the story, what I always say is like, I would love to tell you that I like ran this body process, and then I felt the molecules shift, and then my shoulder went back together, and then suddenly I had my rotation. No, I just had the chaos that was required to break up the solidity of the point of view of Sarah Grandinetti, girl with torn shoulder. And I woke up one day and I was like, my shoulder doesn't hurt. How long has my shoulder not hurt? Oh my gosh. And it was like, almost like find the shoulder pain so I know who I am. I was like, wait, I have a tool now. And now I can put the shoulder, right? I have no shoulder pain. I can do whatever I want with the shoulder. I didn't have surgery. I just started to live from the adventure of living and invite the structure to go away and the chaos in that changed it. And that's also one of my favorite body moments. So,
and you know, it's great because so I'm a 3-day body class facilitator. And in a lot of the 3-day body classes, people ask for specific processes to handle specific issues that they've decided is wrong with their body. And it can be shoulder pain or knee pain or size or whatever, like something very specific. And often what I say in the beginning of the class is that, look, you're going to run a lot of different processes during this class. And most likely the process that you don't at all think have anything to do with whatever you've decided is going on with your body could be the very process that changes the most. It's a very nonlinear, like all of these things that we do in Access. Yes, people ask questions, but often people ask a question, but what really happens is they ask a question which actually takes them on a completely different tangent that shows them what's actually been going on in their life, where they are stuck that they couldn't even see before. And I think that goes for so much in the body too. So this this whole idea of chaos and of awe and wonder and gratitude is really like, if you ask the question from that space, from the space and wonder of gratitude, when you're asking for clarity or when you're asking for change, that also opens up for the universe to provide it in so many different ways. Then please, can you fix my shoulder? Because, you know, so this, I think that's also part of this, the magic of the chaos and the magic of this like non-structure and change that comes from something that we haven't even started to look at from our cognitive monkey mind. It comes from somewhere completely different. And I know that in a foundation, for example, where we also have body processes, that's also where a lot of people, you know, start the shift. Actually, they think the shift is going to come from this clearing after clearing after clearing, but the shift in the class even starts coming when we start running the body processes. So it's a cooperation between the body and the being.
So true. And I would also say the bars too, like the access consciousness bars, because that alone, even if you don't know what the heck's going on, and I still don't know what the heck's going on, I just know I feel better and I have way more space to create, and I love creation so much. So if I can feel better and be excited to create, then that's all you need to tell me. But my awareness is that every time I get my bars run, my body receives something totally different. I clear points of view and I can create something totally different with my body, including my body.
And it is, a lot of times it is really like with the body, it's, if we get out of the way, the body is able to kind of guide us to what's actually required. So that's also part of this. Wow, body, did you know that? I didn't know you knew that. Like that sense of, wow, you actually have such an amazing, you know, way of changing this that I didn't even consider. So the bodies are, we had another call with Simone Milasas was on, and one of the things we talked about was she had an operation in her stomach, and after she had asked the doctor, so what happens, is there going to be like a hole in there, like, you know, like an empty space in there? And doctor said, no, don't worry about it, the body will just rearrange itself. Like the body has no problem with that. It doesn't see the empty space as a problem. It sees the empty space as, wow, okay, let's move some stuff in there. And it does it all on its own. We don't have to think and tell the body, well, now you need to move the kidney into the space where the gallbladder was, and then all of that. So that for me, like the body for me in itself is this space of wonder and gratitude. Like just looking at all the things the body actually takes care of. We should all be in awe of our bodies.
Absolutely. And what would it take to, like you said, with in our start, like what questions can we ask to be inviting more awe and gratitude for our bodies every day, and just invite, even just say hi, you know, hi every morning. Hi body, thanks for being here. Because really your body is the one friend, I will say, that has been with you since day one, every breath you've taken. And have also put up with us a lot of the time, and put up with a lot of our judgment, and are still here with us. So how much gratitude can we have for that as well?
And I'm just looking at the comments. I'm not seeing any questions. I'm actually, so do you want to tell us one more story? Do you have any other like questions to end with?
Well, what I would say is playing with the tools with your body and asking your body what your body's aware of, or asking it for what you'd like to eat. Or, you know, for me, I took my body makeup shopping the other day, and I realized how much solidity I had around what makeup I buy and who I buy it from and where I buy it. And I was like, okay, body, maybe I should include you in this too. And I remember walking, you know, around looking, and I just needed a mascara, and I was like, okay, body, you choose. I ended up buying 3 mascaras that I have, and it was like a drugstore. So also, I don't shop at the drugstore, no. But I need mascara. I was like, hey, body, where are we going for mascara? And it was such a simple little exercise to actually acknowledge what has changed for me in listening to my body, because when I said, okay, we require new mascara, and I saw the picture of not the liquor store, the pharmacy, the drugstore. And I was like, okay. And I walked in and I was like, okay, body, show me. And I'm walking down and there were just colors that popped or a branding that came up, but not from like the mental construct of, does it have fiber in it? What color is it? What will it do for me when I get it? It was just like, okay, body, I'm listening. And it was funny. I brought home the 3 mascaras, and my 14-year-old daughter came over. She's like, oh my God, you bought that mascara? Everybody's saying it's so good. I hadn't ever heard of it. I was like, okay. It wasn't like on some big show. It was just my body knew something. I put it on. I was like, this is the best mascara ever. I don't need to spend the money that I've been spending at, the counters in the department stores. That's so simple, because we can create so much with our bodies. But in really looking at how little of just, what do you want to wear? What would you like to eat? We could just start asking those questions and then see what miracles come up after that. I'm not calling new mascara a miracle, but I will, but I will acknowledge that it's a different space for me to look at what I have concluded, even if it's just around makeup, that I'm not including my body that absolutely has to do with my body, which is so funny.
And it comes down to like trusting our body, building our bodies, building that sense of trust with our bodies. So maybe also, what energy, space, consciousness, choice, magic, miracles, mysteries, and possibilities can we be to have total trust with our bodies for all eternity, and everything that doesn't allow that, let's uncreate and destroy it.
I like
all night short spice meals. And both Sarah and I facilitate classes on bodies and beauty and access in all kinds of forms.
And
if they want to find out more about your classes, Sarah, where do they find them?
They can go to sarahgrandinetti.com. And yeah, I'm doing a lot of, because I too would like to be a 3-day body facilitator. So I'm doing a lot of body process classes to get there. And they've been such a gift. And bars classes. And yeah, so sarahgrandinetti.com.
So go and check that out. And I know that Sarah has a foundation and a body process class coming up in 2 weeks, right? In London, UK, traveling over the pond, coming to Europe. And so that's what dates is it?
So I'm doing a bars class on my birthday on the 28th. And then the 4 days following is foundation, 29th through the 2nd of May in London.
London is actually like the place to be right now. So there's a Being You Changing the World class coming up with Dane here in London, and next weekend, the 22nd, April 22nd to 24. And then Sarah has her foundation. And then I actually have a body class there in May, the 19th to 21st of May. So if you happen to live in London, you can come and join us. Or if you would like to travel there to come and join us, you are so welcome. And please bring your body. That would be wonderful too.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. And the foundation is the prereq for the body class. So if I can contribute to that as well. So if you're out there and you're already coming to my foundation class in London, I will be giving you more information about Kat's class as well.
Thank you so much for coming on, Sarah. And I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.